This is the PR Podcast, a show about how public relations helps you tell your story to the world. We talk with great PR practitioners who have the skills, creativity, and just plain savvy to get their clients noticed. Now here's your host, Jody Fisher.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the PR Podcast. I'm Jody Fisher. Thanks for joining us. Well, don't forget to follow us on social media. Yes, we post on social media, and there is only one The PR Podcast on social media. Lots of pretenders. No, they're all wonderful outlets, but you can follow us at The PR Podcast on Facebook, Twitter. Yes, we still call it Twitter. We don't care. Instagram and TikTok. We don't have a LinkedIn. I sometimes post episodes to my personal LinkedIn at Jody Fisher, but that's the only one that we just never bothered creating. More importantly, listen to us on Apple and Spotify. You're probably listening to us there, but also check us out on YouTube. We've got a YouTube channel where we post all of these episodes as video episodes, so you can watch as well as listen to our very esteemed and intelligent guests. You can try to avoid my face for radio, but definitely check us out there. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok on the socials, as well as YouTube to watch your favorite episodes. Now let's get on with our show for today. We got a terrific guest. Evan Boyer is the founder and CEO of Leaders PR, a strategic communications consultancy helping B2B companies gain attention and build trust. He's got 15 years of PR agency experience spanning earned media, executive visibility, brand messaging and positioning, content development. He's worked across and led industries including finance, tech, construction, and real estate, and he has led earned and owned media strategy and execution for major brands like JP Morgan Chase, Ernst & Young, LG, Lowe's, Panasonic, Red Hat, and Volvo Trucks, as well as many challenger brands and startups. He says exceptional communications is the unlock that allows those who are meant to lead. Evan, welcome to the PR Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Jody.
Congratulations in order first. You are the proud founder and CEO, I guess I got your founder and CEO, of a brand new agency. You just hung your shingle.
Yeah, thank you so much. Today is the end of week 2. So we're rolling. We're trying to pick up clients and do the whole thing. It's nerve-wracking, but it's also really exciting.
Love hearing that. And if we do nothing else here on the PR Podcast, is we support other people. So we say it at the end of the episode, but I'll say it here up front too. Going to put all of your links in the show notes. So if people need to find you and retain you, yes, you got to pay this guy. They're going to be able to find you and look you up and potentially contract with you. So congratulations again and best of luck.
Thank you so much.
What was the motivation for going out on your own? You know, I know what my motivation was 2.5 years ago, but what was yours?
Yeah, it's probably a 3-part answer. I'll give you the first 2, and then I think we can probably hit the third one a little later. First and foremost, it's about the people. And I think we're in PR. I think a lot of us feel this way. We're people. We want to work with other human beings. And there are so many extraordinary people that I've worked with and some extraordinary companies out there as well. And what I've learned is very few of them are actually good storytellers. And over the course of 15 years, the number of times that I've heard someone say, oh, well, this was just, it was on the tip of my tongue, or it was rattling around in my head. And I really haven't been able to articulate this point or this vision that I have, or they do try that and they fail miserably. The number of times that that's happened would probably not astound you, Jody, but I think it would astound many other people. So what's left unsaid there is, if you're not communicating well, you're leaving money on the table, period. And so I want to be able to take what I've learned and bring that to the individuals and organizations that will lead into the future and help make them more money. So that's one. And then I think second, it's really about being able to chase my dream. I've always been self-motivated. I was a D1 athlete in college. I've always had this kind of kicking around in the back of my head. I'm somebody who understands dedication and sacrifice. And to be honest, I'd really love to know what's on the other side of that door. Owning a business and owning the work. So, we'll see. Like I said, week 2, early days. So a lot out there for me, and certainly a big vision.
Well, you certainly got the right launch platform. You got terrific experience under your belt. You've dealt with and helped out household names, and so I think a bright future for you. Now, over the time that you were working with those clients and working with those other agencies, you must have developed a strategy or some kind of philosophy that I think has now morphed into what your website calls the market leader's blueprint. Tell us about that, because that sounds really intriguing.
Yeah, the thought here is if you're trying to build your market presence and you know three things. So, one, what is it that you should be saying about your business? Two, how do you effectively deliver that message, whether that's in a media interview or on TV or on stage or even in a sales meeting in front of prospects? And then three, you have a plan of attack with a clear end goal. So typically that goal is going to be seen as a market leader, right? And you have, if you have those three things, I think you have a significant advantage over just about anyone else who's kind of living by the moment and in a lot of ways flying by the seat of their pants. So I'm really big on process and structure. And this is not something that's often smiled upon in our industry. I think that is so full of creatives, but this might sound like, I think, heresy to a lot of agency types, but hopefully music to my clients and future clients' ears is, the relationship that you will have with us won't be, okay, we'll let you know when we want to do a real message development session or a media training, or, oh no, it's May 16th and we don't have an annual plan yet. So we're just going to wait 6 months until the end of the year and then start then. It's really a formula to get you where you want to go, and it's going to lay the foundation that you need, and it's going to cost about 20 cents on the dollar versus what big agencies charge for that type of work.
Did you say earlier that if you don't have, and please correct me where I'm wrong here, if
Yeah.
you don't have an effective communication strategy, you're leaving money on the table? I mean, you're really aligning communications and profitability there. Do I have that right?
Yeah, I absolutely think that that's the case. Um, and that's one of our challenges, certainly as communications and PR professionals, is to be able to justify and validate that sort of statement. But I've seen it, like I said, so many times over the course of 15 years, as somebody's not able to communicate a message effectively, and their prospect or their potential buyer is going to look elsewhere.
Yeah, the reason I want to bring it up, and I wanted to make sure I had it straight, and you and I are on the same page here, but typically press coverage or media coverage, we typically say that it's not meant to drive sales, right? That there are other things, that it's meant to inspire engagement rather than actually put money in your cash register. You're saying that there's a path through that you can align the PR and the messaging with the sales?
I think they're correlated. And there's certainly some things that we can do in terms of setting up scorecards and ways to kind of put some of the quant with the qual, right? So that's the sort of thing that we like to do. And some people might look at it as a little bit of voodoo or pseudoscience, but I think anytime you're able to really dig into the data, whether that's your social analytics, your web analytics, some of your sales data, and match up, hey, here's what we're doing from a messaging and a public relations perspective, and here's what's happening on kind of the other side of the house, web analytics, social analytics, and sales data. There are strong correlations there. I wouldn't want to say every time, but frequently. And I think just being able to get to that level of detail and granularity is challenging, but it also proves the value of the work that we do.
And that's what I believed. I'd love to hear you say it, because that's what I believed for a long time, is that the messaging is really important. It inspires engagement, right? And the big unlock, to use your phrase that we did in the intro, is correlating let's say you have the big article in the XYZ publication and your sales spiked that day, right? As an overly simplistic example. Have you've figured out a way how to do that? And I don't want to give any away trade secrets, right?
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit more about how you work with your clients to align those two data points.
Yeah, I mean, it's different for everybody, right? And some organizations, are not going to let you inside of their black box and be able to see all the data in the way that you might want to be able to set those things up. But you can do it. It just takes a collaboration and integrated effort, and that might be between PR and marketing, PR, marketing, and sales. IT is involved in that. If you have a web analytics team getting all of those people in the room. And I think that that's really what's lost when a lot of public relations practitioners will say, hey, we want a seat at the table. Okay, who else is at the table? And I think the people that you want at the table aren't just the C-level executives, they're the other practitioners and executioners who can get you closer to understanding what that correlation is between the work that you're doing and the performance metrics that they're seeing.
I love this discussion because I think it's so important for our industry because um, without that correlation, it comes down to those, meaningless metrics that we always chase, impressions and ad value, which has nothing to do with what we do, how we build a narrative, how we push out interesting story angles about clients and sort of accomplish what they want to accomplish. So, going to be watching you very closely and how you develop that. Let's pivot over to that phrase of yours that I love, PR helping those who are meant to lead. It evokes in my mind thought leadership, which again is another one of these like, oh my God, more thought leadership, please. Like back in the 80s, we would say, gag me with a spoon, right? Like, what does it mean to lead from your perspective, and how do you help your clients lead in a truly authentic way?
Yeah, it's a phenomenal question. And I'll be the first one to admit if you're a great company with a great product and you have a great story and you know how to tell it, the media might find you or they might not, and you still might make a lot of money anyway. But I think that's a very small percentage of people and businesses out there. And then I think there's another group of people where their brand has no juice. They don't know what to say. Their product is a me too. Their story is flat. I'd like to say that's another 1%. It's probably a little bit more than 1%. But then I think for everybody else, so whether you believe that that's 98% of people or maybe a little bit less, I truly believe that companies who have the potential to be leaders in their markets, in their categories and industries, there's a great story in there somewhere. And you've got to find a way to pull that out. And that's really what we do. But we're not chasing headlines. And one of the phrases that I've been using a lot lately as we've been starting out is, we're building reputations based on the quality of leaders' insights and their actions. We're not ambulance chasing. And it takes time and concerted effort to be able to craft those things. Like I said, you've got a lot of smart people out there who are building great businesses, but may not have the experience, the wherewithal to be able to craft those messages in a really compelling way. So we help with that.
Is thought leadership passe? Is it, is it boiled down to like LinkedIn published articles and the occasional op-ed in whatever it is, trade journal, or is it more than that?
Yeah, I think it's more than that. I think those are what you just mentioned are tactics that are part of a larger thought leadership strategy. And that can include what you put on LinkedIn, what you put on other social media channels. If you go to speak, if you're included in awards, things that are non-media events as well, executive forums and roundtables, showing up at those with a really clear perspective and coming armed also with your own passions and insights and experience. I think developing that sort of platform is not something that's easily done. And I think that that's just always been something that I've seen is, okay, we've got a CEO, he's very smart, or she is very smart, and we're going to start putting this person out there, and then they fall flat on their face. And it's like, oh, why did that happen? You've got to be able to put an entire thought leadership platform and be able to do the groundwork, the training, all of those things to be able to get them to a place where they become leaders.
You've also got to keep that client or that thought leader engaged. And we talk a lot about this, about, how some clients, bad clients, will, hire a PR agency like you or me and say, great, tell me what I'm in the paper. And we know that that's not how PR works. It's especially important in the context of thought leadership, and leadership in general, and all the stuff that you were just talking about. Do you have some go-to ways that you keep, I mean, you've worked with huge brands, right? You've worked with, leadership across industries. Are there ways that you keep leadership engaged inside of that thought leadership or that leadership program? Or what are some of the tactics that you use to make sure you're getting the best out of people and making sure that, they're not just putting their feet up on the desk?
I think one of the best ways that I've found to compel leaders to do a little bit more or put a little bit more muscle into having a true thought leadership platform is competitive intelligence and analysis of, yeah,
Yeah,
you're,
right.
I mean,
Nothing inspires somebody more than
yeah.
knowing that, the guy two doors down is doing something different, right?
And I just came out of an experience where, I was working for a big four a consulting firm. And obviously, like the big four, the whole ethos here is I'm comparing myself against the other three. So it's very easy to, and everybody has, parallel roles. And it's very easy to say, oh, well, companies 1, 2, and 4 are kicking your butt. That's usually something that I keep in my back pocket for, like, if you're saying that you don't need this or you don't want to do this, look at what everybody else is getting. I had a executive say to me one time about, within this big four structure, he was going to some executive leadership forums where the other three at his level were involved, and he was really surprised at the analysis that we gave him that said basically that the quietest person in the room of those four people was getting the most media coverage and attention. And it's like, yeah, she can be whoever she wants to be in that particular room, but when she gets on LinkedIn or out in other places, she has real thoughts and opinions and perspectives, and people are eager to hear those. And you're not putting yourself out there in the same way, so it's going to affect. Ultimately, it comes back to it's going to affect how well your business does.
Great insights there. Yeah, for sure. We deal with earned media all the time. We deal with reporters and editors and, pitching op-eds or getting them interviews or doing product launches, or, it's a lot of our business, at least a lot of my business, and you correct me on yours, just launched, focuses on all that earned media attention. But we've got a lot of other things that we're working with, out there in the environment, influencers, and now you push in AI driven content. Is earned media? We know earned media is contracting. Is it becoming less relevant though? Are there better ways to get a message out that maybe you have? And I'm not talking about paid advertising, but
Yep.
that you have either some control over, some influence over. Are there tactics and strategies that you like to use?
I think it's actually the opposite. I think earned media right now is becoming more relevant than it has been. Yeah, and I brought some fun numbers with me for this one, Jody, because I think I get this question so often. I got it from a prospect 2 days ago. It's like, we want to put a PR plan in front of our leadership team and tell us why earned media is important. I think especially from a B2B perspective, which is where I'm focused, a recent Forrester study says 77% of B2B buyers weight brand awareness in their buying decision. I think PR, we can all agree, is a component of brand awareness. Dentsu has a report recently done that building brand trust can help shorten B2B sales cycles by up to 16 weeks, so 4 months. And if you've ever done B2B work before, these buying decisions are months, if not sometimes years long, depending on what the product or service is. And then on the AI side, I think it's a really interesting. I'm glad you brought that up because I think it's a really big factor here. Hard Numbers, which is an agency, a consultancy out of London, has a report recently that says 61% of reputation signals in AI come from earned media, and then Muck Rack, 49%. So one out of every two links cited by AI are journalism. So I think all of those numbers point to this idea that no, earned is not dead, PR is not dead. It's more relevant than ever, or than it has been probably in the last 15, maybe 20 years, and that public relations work has a really exciting future ahead, where it's maybe more ingrained into marketing plans than it has been in recent years. And I think that makes sense. And I think one thing that people forget is, AI was programmed by humans, and humans trust third-party verified sources more than advertising. It's fact. And
Advertising doesn't even get scraped by AI.
Right.
AI doesn't look at paid advertising, full stop. Right?
Exactly. So, not only is PR a driver of awareness, it's a driver of trust, and you need trust to drive purchasing decisions. That's I don't see how anybody could argue that fact, but I know that they will.
Totally with you. So let's round out the conversation here. Since we landed on AI, what's the future of our industry here, and what's the future of what you're doing? Specifically in B2B, specifically with whether it's thought leadership or whether it's allowing those who are meant to lead. Where and having started your own agency, like you said, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Where are you going? Where is our industry going? How are we going to get out in front of all this?
So, yeah, as we sit here in August 2025, and I'm sure we'll look back at this in months or years and find out that we're all wrong. But it's been really entertaining.
I said what? I
Yeah.
said what?
Yeah. So it's just been really entertaining, right? The whole thing, all of the hemming and hawing over should we use AI, should we not use AI? And I certainly understand that discussion, I think, in terms of privacy and ethics and that whole thing. But it's also gotten to a place now where I think if you're pushing back on using it, if you're trying to avoid it in some way, you're going to get left behind. And this is from somebody who has managed agency teams with quite a few humans on them. I think the agency of the future just looks different. And that's part of what I'm hoping to build at Leaders PR. And I certainly am using AI and AI tools to make my workflows go a little bit faster and smoother. And to be perfectly honest, like I've got ChatGPT Pro, and I pay $20 for that, and I've got a note taker that costs me $12 a month, and I do not need to pay a full-time account coordinator to help me with notes and write drafts of things. And I think what's great for the clients is using these tools means that I can keep my rate relatively low because I don't need as much human support, and they can get more of my brain and more of my eyeballs and more of my time to do the things that they really need me to do versus paying me however much per hour to write them an email or draft a press release from scratch. Like I can get the draft from scratch and then I can spend less time updating it. And I think the tentativeness around that will go away in time. I will say on the flip side of the coin, one of the things where you still need to be careful is you completely relying on AI for writing. It's not good enough right now to be able to handle anything on its own. And it's I'll tell on myself actually, because I was messing with it at the beginning of the year and I didn't really know much about it. And so if you follow me on LinkedIn and you look at some of the stuff I wrote early in the year, it's really easy to tell that AI contributed to it. And I can see that now after enough kind of reps for myself and looking at other people's content. There just wasn't enough evidence at that point. And I think across the board, there's probably been a little bit of a regression in the amount of really high quality writing that's out there. But I also think this thing learns so fast, right, Jody? Like it's going to learn at a pace where that's probably not going to be a problem in, I don't know, 6 months to a year, maybe longer. But right now, you've got to keep an eye on everything that you're writing and putting out there. I think it applies to images too.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think it's if nothing else, I think I'm excited by all this stuff. You know,
Same.
there's what's the saying about wh- the time before you level up is when things are most chaotic, and I think
Mhm.
we're in that chaotic period right now. And I mean this like our industry is in that chaotic period right now where it's 52 pickup and we're figuring out how to use all these new tools and we're figuring out how it all fits together. I think we're about to launch into this brand new version of what PR is. And it's going to look nothing like what it looked like, you said, 15 years ago, where it was just about a press release and a reporter and a clipping from Burrell's or wherever it was,
Yeah, Burrell's. Shout out
We
Burrell's.
remember those days, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, Evan, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for sharing all this. And again, good luck on the launch of Leaders PR.
thank you so much.
We are not done with you yet, however. We are going to segue now into the rapid fire question portion of our podcast. This is where we steal a page from inside the actor's studio. We ask our guests a series of rapid fire questions meant to elicit a simple answer, maybe a laugh or two. With your indulgence, Evan, let's begin with rapid fire question number one. What's your favorite news source?
I say my news aggregator, Feedly, brings it all together for me. If I can't do that, I'll take the Business Journal.
Very nice. I actually just created a news summary inside of ChatGPT this morning.
Yeah,
Wild,
amazing,
just specific sources and everything, and it sends me an email 3 times a day. I'm like, holy mac!
incredible.
Rapid fire question. This is not about me. This is about you. Rapid fire question number two. What's your favorite social media platform?
LinkedIn.
You know what we should probably do? I'm going to do this spontaneously because there are a few of them out there now. Maybe we should add in what's your favorite, I guess, AI platform? There's
Yeah,
ChatGPT, there's Claude, there's like 5 others. Are you using one specifically?
I'm using ChatGPT the most, but I think maybe Claude.
Yeah, I want to experiment with all of them. It's wild
Yeah,
times.
yeah, no doubt.
Rapid fire question number three: coffee or alcohol?
Give me a beer.
Nice, nice. Rapid fire question number four: what's your favorite on the run food?
So you got to stay hydrated. So I've usually got a couple hydration packets with me. I'm a big golfer, so I like Drive Force. And then if I'm on the run, I'll grab a Chick-fil-A spicy deluxe meal.
And those things are addictive. Rapid fire question number five: what do you want to be at? This is kind of a weird question for a guy who just started his own PR agency,
Yeah,
but let's ask it anyway. What do you want to be after you finish this career?
yeah. I'm playing on the Champions Tour. How about that?
There you go. That's a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, Evan, this has been a great conversation. Please let people know how they can find you and Leaders PR online.
My website is www.leaderspr.com. Leaders PR on LinkedIn, and leaders_PR on Instagram.
Sounds good. We'll put everything in the show notes. Thanks again, Evan. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Please remember to subscribe to the show, connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The PR Podcast, and send us a question or a comment. Our intro is by Christopher Appold. You can find him and his fantastic photography on Instagram at Christopher_APPOLDT. Check him out there and hire him for all your photography needs. You can find me online at Jody Fisher on all the socials and on the web at jodyfisherpr.com. We'll see you next time on the PR Podcast.